double the vigilance and determination on the part of a global coalition to make sure that they are degraded and ultimately defeated.
Yep, degraded. That's his goal. Elliott Abrams, senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and former deputy national security advisor for President George W. Bush, joins us. Hello, sir. Good to talk to you again.
Hi, good to be back.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have another piece of brutality that was put on display by ISIS to talk about, the burning of the Jordanian pilot. First, let me ask you about Jordan's response, at least so far. The latest today is they've said they're going to step up within the coalition and lead the charge to a great extent. But the execution of those two prisoners, what's your take on that?
Well, the initial reaction in Jordan when there was a negotiation to get this pilot back, people were saying, why do we have to be involved in this stuff with ISIS anyway? What's it any of our business? We should have stayed out and the pilot wouldn't have been there. But the brutality of killing him, burning him alive, has turned, it seems, the Jordanian people around into supporting fighting ISIS and saying, you know, what kind of savages are these? They would do something like that to someone who's supposed to be, you know, a fellow Muslim, a fellow Arab. And I think this was really the government's reaction at having been played by ISIS. You know, while this negotiation was going on, he was already dead. Apparently he was killed on February 3rd. So this was just their reaction. You played with us for the release of this person. These people are now never going to be released because they're going to be executed. It's vengeance.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you know what? I bet if there was a poll taken in this country, especially if people were able to see, well, they can see it if they go look for the video, they would be behind that kind of vengeance, rightfully or wrongfully. I have no problem with it, but I got to tell you, when you listen to the president, Elliott, he kind of shrugged and said this is just another example of the organization. He called ISIS an organization. The same lackluster, emotionless response he had when the rabbis were slaughtered in the Jerusalem synagogue, when Americans are beheaded by ISIS, when Japanese are beheaded by ISIS. This Jordanian pilot was part of our coalition, or a coalition at least that we participate in. No emotion with this guy, nothing.
Right. There's such a thing as being too cool. And I think, you know, the way the Jordanian government reacted, if you took a poll in Jordan, I think you'd get 99% saying this was the right thing to do. And this is, you know, in the long run, we have to hope this spreads, because what we have to hope for is that more and more people in the Arab world say these are savages. They're killing us. They're killing Arabs. They're killing Muslims. That's who they're killing. They're not killing Americans for the most part. So we need to support Jordan. That's one thing we need to do, is to make sure if they want to be bigger in this fight, that's great. Let's make sure they have the wherewithal to do it. And I think you're right when you say the president is just, you know, some things deserve an emotional reaction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I don't know how you cannot have one, but I think that's his natural response to it. Let's talk about something he does have a reaction to and does show anger at, and that's, of course, the state of Israel. And, of course, the invitation by Boehner and the Republicans for Netanyahu to come. You wrote a great piece about that at blogs.cfr.org. I know you're behind the invitation. So am I. I think Obama is scared to death that just like he schooled him at the White House that time years back when Obama just stared at him with a death stare, he's going to take him to school. He's going to school the American people on the threat not only to Israel posed by Iran, but the threat posed to the United States by Iran.
Well, I agree with you, and I think, you know, it's amazing for this White House in particular to be complaining, oh, this is an intervention in our politics. First of all, the speaker invited him, but, you know, this administration is intervening in their politics. Do you think there's any Israeli who doesn't know that Obama would like Netanyahu to be defeated? Obama's field director is now heading one of the campaigns against Netanyahu. I mean, this is really just silly. And what do you want, I guess, is the question I would ask. What do you want a foreign leader to do if the Speaker of the House says, we would like you to come and speak to a joint session? And if you accept, we'll tell the White House about it. That's really what happened. He accepted. The Speaker informed the White House, and now the White House is trying to make a huge, big deal out of this being some kind of insult. Why is it an insult? Why is it an insult for a foreign leader to speak to the United States Congress about a matter that's very important for us and critically important for his country? What's the insult?
Well, the problem is, that we're dealing with a president who has a fundamentally different belief system than you and I believe the American people, certainly American tradition when it comes to foreign policy. Not only with Israel, Elliott, but explain to me. Again, I think we've discussed this before. This man's not stupid. Look at everything he touches. Look at now the tapes that have been revealed where Hillary was entrusted by members of the Pentagon and Dennis Kucinich, who went to Gaddafi's son because they thought they were ginning up Hillary and Obama were ginning up the reason to dump Gaddafi for no good reason. I mean, you got Libya where we fought on the side of Al-Qaeda. You got Syria where we're fighting on the side of Al-Qaeda. You got the Arab Spring, which Obama supported. The king of Saudi Arabia despised Obama, notwithstanding what the White House said to the opposite, according to Richard Engel. I mean, what is this man's goal?
Well, I think this is a very, very ideological administration and a very ideological president. And I'll give you an example that to add to your list, which is Cuba, the change in Cuba policy, basically for no good reason. And it's quite clear the president wanted to do this from the day he got elected, but he couldn't do it because the Cubans had an American, Alan Gross, in prison. So they had to wait until he got out of prison until the whole policy of, 5 or 6 presidents for decades could be turned on its head. Just one more point about Netanyahu that's worth making. Remember, when Obama became president, Netanyahu was not prime minister. He became prime minister months later. So the hostility that they showed to Netanyahu from day one was not because he had done something. They just didn't like him because they said, oh, this guy's a right-winger. They didn't like him before he had even become prime minister. He hadn't done anything yet. And yet the feeling of hostility was shown right at the start.
No, you're absolutely right, Elliott. Great work. Thanks for being with us, and we'll speak to you soon. Always appreciate it. Take care. Elliott Abrams, ladies and gentlemen, and Counsel on Foreign Relations and former Deputy National Security Advisor for President George W. Bush. Oh, I don't want to go through this again, but when you say George W. Bush, or you hear him speak, or you play back the tapes after 9/11 when he's standing on the rubble, or you hear him speak today about his dad or about anything, and you say, oh my God, what has happened to this country? How could we have elected this man twice? The panel's next. Don't go away.